today we're talking about Chinese characters. What I knew about them was that, yeah, they come from pictures that ancient people drew long ago, and then boom. But I did not expect the scandalous stories behind some of those characters, and so I thought the world must know. First up, I could tell you a little bit about the mythological origin of the Chinese characters because it itself is pretty cool. The story goes that the Yellow Emperor had this court historian, and he told him, listen, we've been recording history with this notes type of stuff, and they've been cool, but I need a more efficient way. So go out and about, do something, and find a more efficient way for us to do that. And the court historian was like, okay. And he went into the wilderness. And so there are two versions of how this story went. One says that turtles are important in Chinese culture because they're those ancient creatures that live more than us, and they go into the water and on land, so they're crazy, right? So this turtle appeared before the court historian, and on its back it had these signs, and those were the first pictograms. The other story goes that the court historian was looking around and he saw the little marks of birds' feet, and he got the idea from that. I personally prefer the turtle story because turtles are cute. It's a cool version. Both versions are cool. Now let's jump into the 3 characters I've prepared for you today. Number 1 is the character Chu, which to this day means to get something, or take money out of the ATM or whatever, But as you can see, it's this picture of an ear and a hand grabbing. Pretty much, yeah, well, in ancient times, people would have wars. Crazy, they still do. And they couldn't drag a whole body to bring it back as a trophy. I suppose it would be very, very difficult. And so they would cut off parts of their victims. Well, victims, rivals, I don't know, of the ones who they've beaten, and they would take parts of them and bring it to their place and be like, yeah, we got them, people. In Japan, I believe, the more, let's say, ears or noses a samurai would bring, the higher his pay would be for the job done. And on that note, I actually have a mini side story. It's about the Imjin Wars. Those were wars between Japan and Korea. During that time, the Japanese would do exactly that thing. They would cut off the noses of the beaten Koreans and they would bring them to their own country. They pickled them. I don't know why did that shock me so much. I suppose that's a good way to preserve. Pickle them? I didn't see it coming when I read it. I was like, excuse me, what? Pickled what? But yeah, they got the noses, pickled them and stuff, and buried them in this huge mound that they would first call a nose mound. But then, this part is very interesting to me. I've no idea why, but one Confucian scholar from the Japanese people, he was like, guys, cut off noses, it's too barbaric. We should call it ear mound. Why? But there you go, a fact. Cutting off a nose is more barbaric than cutting off a ear. Right. It's a serious matter, but I believe that just telling a story in a more light-hearted way is easier to process. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one I saw mixed opinions online. The character Min, which means people, believe that it represents a picture of a blade poking an eye, and they tie it to this story of the fact that it didn't mean people, just people. It used to mean slaves, and it would be the blade poking the left eye of the slave, and apparently an ancient practice of keeping your slaves. And later on, it started meaning just people, not slaves. And some people say, no, we are not savages, that's not the truth. Even though I find the story interesting, of course I didn't live back then, so I can't guarantee you, oh, that's the truth, or that's not, but I still find it worth telling. In the end of the day, I don't think that such a background type information would make the current people monsters. I believe it's all about human nature. Like, yeah, somebody back in the day, even if it wasn't your particular ancestors, was capable of doing something like this. And it's not because they were this and that, it's just in human nature. So facing this fact and being like, I have it in me, the capability of doing something so messed up, and just facing it and deciding to walk in the opposite direction. I think that's the conclusion we could get out of such a story. I don't think people should throw fingers and be like, you're savages, you did that, that's And now on to our final character for today. I chose this one because it really makes you think. Okay, hear me out. How would you present the concept of weird? Because the ancient people had their own way of describing weird, and it was basically this picture of a human doing wee. But he didn't have an ordinary head. No, his head was ghostly, human monster type thing, human ghost. And that's pretty cool. I don't know if I had the task to describe what's weird to me. What would I draw? What would you guys draw? Yeah, I'm leaving you on that note. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share with you those stories because I found them really cool, and I hope that other people could find them cool. Sorry guys, the last part of the video got a little bit messed up, so I just wanted to say that not all Chinese character stories are these gloomy, messed up stories. Actually, some of them are really wholesome, and I might talk about them one day. Yeah, and the most important part of the video. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you again. Bye.